Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity. My name is Jay and today I'm going to be talking about positivity in wargaming, but mostly on YouTube. Now, what do I mean by that? Positivity is one of those phrases that if I hear somebody say that in real life, or they'll say, positive mental attitude guys, PMA, I'm like, there is a very high chance that I will murder you shortly. But yeah, you know, it's not the kind of phrase that I'm normally like enamored by. I don't really like it. It's not the kind of thing that I would normally talk about, but I just want to talk about it in two ways, but one very mild way, which is when you're playing the game or whatever, when you're getting involved in something, just try and keep in your head what you enjoy about it and try and focus on that, because I find myself jumping from things to things and I never know like what am I even trying to achieve. Like I realized the other day I've been painting these. I hate painting, so you know I need to get playing as many games as possible rather than concentrate on, say, the hobby side of things. But also keep in mind that your opponent might not be the same as you. You might be interested in the lore and you have your guys painted the exact right way, and your opponent might not. Just let it go. It doesn't matter. Try and keep the game as fun as possible and realize that you're not the only one playing it, unless you are playing a solo game, which is, in that case, do what you like. But I just want to talk about it on YouTube as a whole, because it's something that I've been thinking about lately. I obviously did a video saying, am I too harsh on GW? And I think that is a symptom of this problem. And the problem is that YouTube sort of rewards negativity in a sense. Now, I don't think it's inappropriate or improper to criticize companies or even people or whatever it is. Like, I think criticizing when criticism is due is more than fine. If people want to criticize me, I'm more than happy to listen to it and hear it out and maybe discuss that with you properly. So like, don't get me wrong. And what I'm actually going to talk about, I am the biggest, I'm not the biggest, but I'm one of the people who has done this and will probably continue to do this. Is that like if I'm going to do a video on YouTube where I come and I sit down and I talk to you guys, the controversial opinions, which also tend to be, say, the most negative, like if I say something you think is bad, and then you might come along and be like, oh, it is bad and I don't like that, I agree with him. Or you might be like, oh no, I disagree with that, so I'm going to comment, is an easier sell on YouTube than say, I think Star Wars is good. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, YouTube can sort of reward a controversial opinion. And this happened, I think, with one of my videos. I've not got the stats, but my 7 potential problems videos with Legion does better than, say, my 7 reasons to play Star Wars Legion video. And I sort of understand that because the way like the mind works and the way that people approach YouTube, these kind of controversial opinions spark interest, spark dynamic responses, and you know, it's good for YouTube. Now the problem with that is, well, before we talk about the problem, there are a lot of channels that don't do this kind of thing. Like Beasts of War, they do reviews and stuff like that, but they're never really negative. Andy from Blackjack Legacy is never really negative. If he doesn't like something, he generally just won't play it, won't really demonstrate it, that kind of thing. There's, you know, loads and loads of people who are just enjoying the game and playing the game. Now, I think sometimes that depends on the kind of content you make. I think if you're making like battle reports, say like guerrilla miniature games and doing reviews, those kind of videos, are you like enjoying the game? Like, there's nothing negative about that kind of space. You might be in the game and complain about bad dice or you know, oh, the game's broken, but you don't really mean it. You're just talking about it in this like instance. Yeah, that kind of content sort of lends itself better to being a little bit more optimistic. Whereas I think videos like this, where somebody comes down, sits in front of a camera, and they want to talk about something, one thing in particular, what do you pick? Now, there's obviously infinite subjects, well, not infinite subjects, but there's loads of subjects out there, loads of different approaches you could take. But the reality is, YouTube is rewarding this sort of negativity. Now, there are a couple of channels who sort of embrace this, like The Outer Circle, I believe, pretty much. I'm sure they would unashamedly agree that they do. Like, they're quite strong critics of GW. And then there's people like me who are sort of like in the middle. And it's not a problem, but it's not what I want to be. And I realised that the other day, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, I think this kind of content has led itself to me being a little bit more critical of GW than perhaps I should be occasionally. And it's not something I'm happy with. You might not even notice it, But I think the solution to me not being, I'm in general in real life, like I'm pretty happy-go-lucky. I'll play a game, I'm happy about the result, win or lose. I'm trying to win, but I'm not stressy about it. Oh, your models look great, they look great, fantastic. You know, I'm very relaxed. Like, I'm never going to be the best competitive player in the world anyway, for two reasons. One, I don't have enough time, but I'd like to say that's the main reason. But the main reason is the noggin, the brain, just ain't good enough. It's not good enough for it. So, yeah, like, I'm not that kind of person in real life. I'm not like somebody who just puts down things for like the sake of putting stuff down. I'm normally quite like even city on the fence even kind of guy, and it sort of upsets me a little bit that I'm getting a little bit more prone to these sort of I don't want to say negative, but like it's easier to critique something and having like a negative opinion about something to spark a reaction than it is to come on and tell you that I like something. You know, I can't be like, how great are GW doing at the minute? Probably not going to do as well as like, GW specific policy here is bad. Like, that kind of subject is just an easier sell. And I've fallen into that trap, I think, of subconsciously. Like, I haven't done it intentionally, but I think subconsciously I've fallen into that that mindset that it's easier to, and it's just easier to criticize something than it is to do positive kind of things. Now, hopefully, I'm getting better internet in a couple of days. Maybe we'll see. Possibly looking at weeks and months still, but you know, we'll have to wait and see. Because we've had a data cap, doing this kind of video has been a lot easier than say doing a video like a let's play for 2 hours long, and hopefully that's going to change. I'm going to try and do a little bit more positive orientated content, if that makes sense. Hopefully you haven't even noticed this, it's not something you think about, but do you sort of see what I mean about it on YouTube? Like, you're more, do you think you're specifically more likely to like click on a video that you either really agree with or really disagree with, and those those strong opinions either way basically cause you to click? I think I do. Like, I think I'm guilty of it both in creating it and in watching that kind of stuff. I think maybe because I want to get the noggin flowing, the juices flowing, but yeah, it's definitely something I'm aware about. Hopefully you haven't noticed again. You probably realised quite recently I'm being quite reflective, hopefully a little bit self-aware, and I think it's just because I've been going through like a mental change in the way that I'm trying to perceive things. Like, there's all different kinds of stuff going on that I'm failing at. Like, I'm painting my guys, but I'm not focusing on painting them, therefore I'm half painting them and then moving on to something else. Game wise, I keep approaching games in a specific way and getting disappointed when they're not exactly what I want them to be, and I need to take a step back, going back to the start of this video, look at what I actually enjoy about the hobby and just try and go towards that. And I need to take a step back on YouTube and think, what kind of positive, or not positive, but what kind of image do I want to portray on YouTube? And I want to be a little bit more positive about things. I started off doing terrain, which had a positive vibe, which was like, yeah, here's how you make this. It's dead easy to make it. Great idea. And now I've sort of descended into, I don't really like this because of this. What do you think? And I'll still do some of those videos, don't get me wrong, but I'm hoping to, you know, change it up a little bit. Let me know your thoughts. I know this is a very different, I say every video I do, I'm always like, I know this is very different. This is actually very similar to what I normally do. But I'm hoping to put the top it off, finish it off, move on with the content now. I'll still be critical, still think that's more than fine when it's appropriate, but hopefully you'll see the kind I'm going to be trying to focus on the things that we enjoy in the hobby rather than the things that we don't like so much. And that's good advice both in your game and I think for the kind of things that you try and watch. Maybe you know, try and watch the more positive stuff if that's what you want to see. Be the change you want to see in the world. And as Morrissey said, who I'm sure is probably not a great guy, that's a deliberate critique, it's easy to laugh, it's easy to hate. It takes guts to be gentle and kind, which I think is appropriate here. It's easier for me to do a negative video. It's a bit harder for me to do and tilt it to like a more positive, welcoming vibe. And that's what we're going to try to achieve, or at least I am. If you like this video, like. If you've not subscribed, then do subscribe. Either way though, you should have a beautiful day, and goodbye. Bye.